This is part 9, my life, my experiences, my recovery. I wanted to share this story with you. It's one of the keys to my recovery so far. It was one of the major hurdles that I had to jump over, tackle, and overcome. And it was really one of the toughest issues that I had to deal with. Thank God I had help along the way from people in my AA and NA groups, and my sponsors, all the good information that was given to me. So, to get back to the story, my mother passed away in March of last year, 2010. We were estranged. We had grown apart. We hadn't spoken in probably about 3 years. And the way I found out was a friend of mine that I had gone to school with, childhood friend, a buddy of mine, he found me on classmates.com, and he sent me a message telling me, my mom had passed away, and only family members that are left in my family are my older sister, that we aren't close at all. That's another issue. My aunt and my cousin. I haven't spoken to any of them in so long because my ex-wife and my mother didn't get along. I was pretty much put in the middle and given an ultimatum. Pick sides. So, my mother was stubborn, and she didn't want to accept my ex-wife for who she was. All she saw was a girl from California and saw her as a tree hugger and pot smoker. My mom was a very traditional Southern woman with very closed-minded ideas about the world around her. She didn't get to travel much. She was a hard-working woman, but she was very closed-minded when it came to other people and other ideas about the world. So, make a long story short, we grew apart, and so when she died, it kind of just like pouring gas on a fire, just fueled my addictions even more, and my anger even more, and just not understanding exactly, what and why and how it went wrong, So, when I got into my recovery program, I talked to several people about it, and this one older guy, I'd say he's probably in his 80s, and he's been clean and sober for over 40 years. And one morning I had shared in the meeting about my thoughts about this, and it was around Mother's Day of this year, actually. And he pulled me aside after the meeting, which is what you are supposed to do. You're not supposed to cross talk during the meetings. He pulled me aside outside, and You know, he says, I can see that you're hurting. And he goes, but you got to get by it, man. He says, you can't have resentments. You can't have these anger issues. He says it's gonna prevent you from, you know, achieving your ultimate goal, man. You know, that relationship with that higher power. He says, you got to let everything go. You got to get it out. He says, I got an idea for you. He says, why don't you go home and grab a piece of paper and write your mother a letter. Explain to her everything that's happened. Pour your heart out like she was just sitting there in the same room with you. He goes, after you write that letter, he goes, then read it out loud like she's sitting right there, right in front of you. Just you and her, a mother and a son. And he goes, I guarantee you your higher power will reach down and speak to you. So I went home and I thought about it. Thought about what I wanted to say. Thought about how I wanted to make all this happen. Because I wanted to put this in the past. I wanted this resentments that I had just to be buried and lifted off me. So I wrote this letter to my mother. And I poured my heart out, you know. I explained to her that I was wrong. I should have tried to bring her and my ex-wife together to an understanding that we were a family, you know. And told her that my addictions, you know, when it began and how long it's been going and where it took me and how far down a hole I was, that just reaching up and just wanted somebody to grab my hand and give me hope and lead me and show me the light. I poured my heart out in this letter. And then I read it. Like my mom was sitting on the couch. You know, and as I was reading it, man, I could feel the resentments and the anger and the fear and everything just leave my soul. You know, it was like my higher power, the universe, was reaching down and just putting a hand on my little bald head and going, it's okay, Ken. It's okay, she understands. So, the point I'm trying to make is, if you're hurting and you got resentments towards a family member, a close friend, boss, I mean, it doesn't matter. All resentments will hold you back in life. My point is, you've got to get it out. If you can have that conversation with somebody and just be truthful and tell them how you feel, and you know, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't and they don't accept it, at least you cleaned your side of the street. You scraped your soul. You've bared your feelings and your emotions. Clean your side of the street and let your higher power take it from there. You know, I made a lot of mistakes in my life. And being on this path and finding my spirituality and relationship I have, my higher power, I have a second chance to make things right, to live life like it's supposed to be lived. You know, to be the kin that I want to be. So, you guys have a super duper day. It's beautiful here. Peace and love, people. Peace and love.